Hey guys, Hanor here. Alright, anyways, it came to my attention recently that there's a lot of people that are interested in playing War Thunder. They just weren't interested in the air combat side of things. And so now that there's ground forces, there's new people coming in, and I'm trying to help you guys out by making this video here that's going to show you what you need to know for the ground forces. Okay, so you go to the controls. This will be the first thing you need to do. Run to the tank control section. Make sure that tank throttle is bound. A buddy of mine that came back to playing, his wasn't bound for some reason. Now, I'm not default, it should be bound, but some people are having issues, so let's just go down it. Okay, maximum value should be set to W, minimum value to S, or up and down if you prefer the arrow keys. Tank steering, maximum value should be to A and to left instead of D, and minimum value D and right. Why this is, I don't know. War Thunder's been normally everything's to the right first. This is the first time it's to the left, so be aware. Okay, alright, continuing on. These were not defaulted assigned. You can assign them. You can assign the clutch. Fire from main gun should be left mouse button. Fire from secondary gun should be assigned to whatever you want it to be. I did shift and left mouse button right now, but there was on the dev server, there was a T-35 that had multiple turrets that they were testing out and everything, and so it will be incorporated. It looks good, it looks awesome, so just be aware of that multiple guns will be in at some point. You will need these. Same with the machine guns. Machine guns right now are not on, but they will be working. So you don't need to buy anything for it just yet. Okay, sight distance control, I have no clue. Alright, I don't really know, but I do understand what it's supposed to do. It's kind of supposed to be like with a sniper rifle where you can raise and lower the sight, based on what range you are seeing the target or assume that they are out at, and so that raises and lowers the zero. Alright, anyways, you'd have to play around with that one. Alright, moving on. These should be defaulted to E and Q. If they are not, you don't have to follow that, but that's what their default values were. Now, it's kind of like R for those World of Tank players. You'd use R and F. For cruise control, you hit R 3 times. Same thing with the E and Q. Alright, tank transmission gear neutral, that's defaulted, not assigned. Okay, repair, tank repair. You can assign it to the same controls that the aircraft use. Used to, whenever you would assign, it would ask you if you want to add, replace, and cancel, I believe is the third option. I added mine when it was in the thing, but like as you can see, I can clear this out. Okay, I'm going to assign a button. I'm going to assign F to it, and it doesn't ask me that. However, as you can see, it still toggles the flaps. If it asks you to add, replace, or whatever, add it. If you plan to fly, because flaps are awesome. Alright. Lock target. This is important. The reason why this is important is because right now they're not allowing the aircraft to fly with the tanks because they want people to be able to work on the tanks unmolested, I guess, by aircraft. But here, the thing of it is that aircraft can only basically attack the ground targets that they see. Alright, and we don't get the markers over players' vehicles unless another player locks the target. So if you lock that target, then we can see it. We can see it really good, knock them out. So if you're in trouble and you don't have that guy locked up, aircraft can't do anything to help you. And you probably want to keep them locked anyways, because if you're not locking them at all, or until you're in trouble, the aircraft might get bored and try to bomb some other things, waste all this good stuff. Alright, so let's keep that in mind. Short stop. I was thinking that binding this to space, I bound it to space. It might default now there, I don't know, but I originally bound it to space, and I thought it would do like space does in World Tanks, where it automatically stops you until you fire and then it rolls again. That's what I thought the shortstop would do in here. So far, it doesn't work that way. So, and I haven't even figured out what it does. um, so you don't need to bound it. These rest of these things are at your discretion. And if you set the mouse wheel zoom to zoom axis, make sure that you go back here. And where is okay? Mouse wheel aircraft. Make sure make sure it stays on throttle. That's the default, or zoom axis if you set it to that. Because for some reason it likes to switch this to none whenever you do that. So just keep that in mind. Okay. All right. Now we're not done yet. Miscellaneous controls. Down here at the bottom 6. They default should be 1 through 6. Now the funny thing is that the fire extinguishers, for me at least, is button 7. Even though it's 1 through 6 and it's listed as 6 here, I originally assigned it 7 before they switched over to this, and it still works as 7. I don't know if it works as 6 or not. It kind of baffles my mind. But so just be aware of that. Okay. All right. Just wanted to make sure you guys were aware of all these controls. Now, moving on from the control segment and the tank selection segment that we talked about, let's move on to the tanks. Alright, Army. Alright, here's your tanks, your tank line. You start with a reserve tank. Alright, I place mine on one crew. You can place it on any crew that you want for free, the reserve tanks. And I think I ended up putting it on that one as well because it was somebody wanted to play an arcade match or something. So, anyways, you place your reserve crew and you start working. You have to set your research up as well. And as you can see, I'm researching the Jagdpanzer 38-ton Hetzer right now. You might want to research down a particular line that's going somewhere. Like this is the heavy line. Right here's the Tiger. These are the Tiger 2s. This is the medium line. Go down through Panzer 4s. To the Ost H, and then you'll be going to the Panther. The Panther D, A, G, and F. And then to the Panther 2. Alright. Here's the flak line so far. It's only got 2 spots. It might go further, I don't know. The Stug line goes down to the Jagdpanzer 4s, then to the Jagdpanther, the Freddies, and the Jagdtiger. Alright. And then this is your premium line. I have the captured Sherman. It's awesome. I love it. It's a great tank. Awesome tank. Anyways, I was watching somebody's review earlier, or ground force thing earlier. I'm glad they actually put the captured Sherman in. Why? I just think that's awesome. Captured planes and tanks I always think are pretty cool to have for premiums. But anyways, alright. Once you establish your tank in an area, you're going to want to set up your crew. Key things that you want to focus on are going to be repair. Repair needs to be pretty much the same across all your crew for the best benefit. Alright. I've spent a lot of time, and even through some accelerated training into this. The crew is 4 times more expensive training-wise than air crews, so just keep that in mind. If you're going to throw accelerated training in, normally you could throw like 1.5 of these or something into an air crew and max everything out. It takes like 4 of these right here to max out all this. And I think I decided to do it on this crew because I'm only using this crew for my tanks, and why not? Whatnot. But anyways, their particular skill, like this is the driver, tank driving is normally toward the bottom. Targeting, range finding for the gunner. Tank commander's leadership. Leadership helps everybody else's crew, get up, kind of like in Wool of Tanks. Weapon reloading. That's a must. Weapon reloading. I mean, your rate of fire is very important, as we know. Okay, radio operator. The most important aspects of the radio operator, besides the field repair and his health, would be the radio communication. As you can see, I'm working on that and everything. And now, one important aspect, if you haven't done it already, okay, I'm not sure what the requirement is because it doesn't tell me right here. Let me do this. I'll move that tank there, and then we will place the reserve tank here. Alright, so needs a crew level of 100. 100 required. Okay, so that being said, crew level of 100. Alright, so get your crew up to at least 100 to get the basic training. Now, reason why it's really cheap. 1,000 lions. Boom. 1,000 lions. Lower tier is really cheap. Expert it, that's up to you. You know, 10 gold's not that much, but I'm not really worried about it. Now, as you can see, your main aspects: repair, tank driving, plus 30 points out of 50. At least 50, so it's plus 30 points to it. So even if you had nothing in these yet, now you're 30 out of 50. That's pretty good. Gunner, you know, his attributes and the repair. Commander, his attributes and repair. Loader, his attributes and repair. As you can see, all these things are really, really important, you know, parts to get. And now you give it plus 30 right there, just from that one qualification. So I recommend that. That's going to help you guys out a lot. Now, as you get higher and higher and higher down your lines, like, let me see here. I don't think I've done it for this tank. Let me see. Crew. I have done it. Let's try the F2. Do I even have the F2 on this line yet? No, I haven't. Okay, so crew qualification. 38,000 lions. To me, that's nothing. You know, I make lions buku in my aircraft. So 38,000 lions. Bam. Right there. Tons and tons and tons and tons of bonus points value. You know, as you get further though along, you know, higher in tier and such, as you guys well know, it is going to get more and more and more expensive. So just keep that in mind. Nothing with these premiums. Premium tanks. You know, I personally feel that this tank right here is overpriced. Now here's the thing though. You can buy it right now, throw it in your line, and play it right now. So you're already starting at that tier, and you're generating 256 research bonus points. But you're also fighting probably more experienced players than you too. The alternative is you could actually work down, get this, like see how it's already got 78, and then you can go and buy a talisman. And when you buy the talisman, it gives a plus 100 RP, so it'd be 178. Not quite the 256, okay, but it's pretty close. You know, and that'll help a lot. Alright, Russians are the same way. I'll talk about their lines really quick. I did buy this pack. I bought it because I wanted to do a review for you guys on it. So this one you can buy with gold. I also wanted to do a review on that as well. The other one I would have bought some of those, but they were tier 2, which I had already had, and then that's the super expensive tier 4, which I don't really want to buy because they're so costly. But anyways, alright, this line, the light to medium line, this is the medium line. It's my favorite line out of all the Russians. Okay, this is the heavy line, and the TD line, and then you have these 3 light tanks, no idea, this one random flak tank or flak truck, and then your premium stuff. Okay, alright, now I just like the medium line. They're tougher in my opinion than even the heavies, or almost as tough as the heavies, and you get to bring in 2. As you can see, there's 2 out of 2, so you get to bring in 2 into a game. Like you go in, if you die, you get to come back in. Heavies do not get this option. Heavies are one, only one tank can come in. Okay, this applies for the Germans too. Mediums, 2 tanks can come in. Light tanks, 3 tanks can come in, except for with the exception of the Dash 50. The Dash 50 is treated like a medium tank. It can only bring in 2. Okay. All right. TDs, they're very dependent. They can be anywhere from 1 or 2. This flak truck generally has 3. I'm not sure if that's going to change for any of these. And another thing to mention too, that might not have been mentioned as well, only medium, light, only non-heavy, non-tank destroyer tanks can call artillery fire in. Okay, so light tanks, medium tanks, flak trucks, they can call in artillery strikes. Okay, tank destroyers and heavies cannot. And going back real quick to that tank destroyers that can only bring in 1, these SU-152 and I believe the ISU-152 do not get a second life. They have, I guess, too powerful of a gun to allow to come in twice for balance issues, I'm guessing. I'm not really sure. So I generally like having that second life. It, to me, makes the game more exciting. Alright, trying to think of anything I'm leaving out for you guys that are just getting started. And I think I've covered pretty much everything outside of ammo, so let's cover that. Modifications. Okay, you gotta unlock some of your ammo. See how there's these 2 ammos here. Default, you'll get certain ammos, but obviously the B and the SP, this one and this one, are not default. Okay, one thing to pay attention to is not only the pin. You see how there's a pin at 10, 100, 500, and so forth, and it tells you the penetration value. It's also to pay attention up toward the top where it's like 72.6 millimeter cannon shell filled with the APH-EBC. That's armor piercing high explosive with ballistic cap. Okay, anything that's got HE in it normally gives a little bit more of a bang. The ballistic cap seems to allow for I'm not 100% if it does this, but I think once you penetrate, then the detonation happens, shooting the ballistic cap, what's remaining of it in there, kind of more of like fragmentation or Spalding effect inside of the tank. I'm not 100% though, but like for instance, this one's APBC ballistic cap, so it's got a cap on it that's gonna detonate, when it hits, I believe. But then you're just gonna have an AP slug coming through, pretty much. Whereas this one's gonna have that cap. It's gonna hit, not exactly detonate. I don't know why I said detonate before, but it's gonna allow it to punch through that armor, and then it's gonna explode. And there's gonna be that metal AP that's coming in plus the explosion. So going back to this one, you see how it's got higher penetration value, okay? But it's just a slug, whereas this one explodes. So I'm not saying don't use these. I try to use a lot of stuff. Okay, going here. See, here's another ballistic cap one with higher pen value. So obviously I pretty much would carry just these 2 for anti-tank warfare. I do carry some limited HE. HE is useful for knocking out the gun and things of that nature, knocking out AAA. Flak tanks, open top tanks. Same with the shrapnel. Shrapnel is good for knocking those out too. It's a little bit better for knocking out aircraft because it's basically what that is, a flak shell, pretty much. Okay. And so you got to kind of weigh these things, and then also, like for instance, this one right here. This one has a mass of 6.3 kilograms, right? This one down here is a mass of 6.3 kilograms as well. Some tanks will have different mass values. Even though the penetration may be less, it may have more mass, which means it does more rupture damage to the tank, per se. You know, how important is that? I don't really know. It's pretty much up to you guys to really play with. But if you're like, yeah, I could still pin with that, you know, it's up to you whether you want to run that or not. Once you start getting into tier 3, you'll start running into some crazier rounds. Like you'll start running into, that one doesn't have it, but you'll start running into, like this one's APHE, heat rounds in the certain tanks like German tanks, APCR rounds. You know, there's a lot of different rounds, but you got to consider, like APCR, it's still just a slug. So depending on what you're aiming at and everything, you gotta have tendencies to realize that to me at least, APCR is great to penetrate the tank if they're in a tough angle on you, but you're not doing heavy damage to that tank. You're just knocking a hole in it. You know, so it's up to you guys to play around with. Alright, anyways, I hope this video helps you guys out, and if so, please give me a big thumbs up and subscribe for more content to come. Alright, thank you guys.